कुछ नजर आ रहा है. I mean, like. So that's great. Okay. So welcome all and good morning to all. How are we? All good?
Very good.
All good, sir.
Okay. Thanks. So let's start sharing the screen. I've been missing you last week. So let's start. Hi, Ganesh. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Very good. How are you?
Good morning. One second, huh? Sometimes this glitches. Okay, you're able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. I've deliberately put,
Yes, sir, we can see that.
there, because it's supposed to be very unique.
We can see the screen, sir.
Yes. That's basically, we need to flex, we need to adjust, we need to do all sorts of things when we are actually working together. So actually, it actually works. So hello and welcome to you all. We have been doing 2 sessions today. So I'm in for a pleasure and privilege to interact with all of you all for 2 sessions. That's wonderful. Okay. So let's jump on to the icebreaker. Would you rather? Now, these are basic questions which will pop up on the screen, and I want some of you all to take the lead and try to answer this. Of course, I will not stop sharing the screen. It's basically to get into the context and get into the picture, actually. So, would you rather? Okay. So now the first question is, what is the most unique thing on your bucket list? Anyone would like to try this? Anil, Sonal, Swapna, Monica,
Yes, sure.
Ganesh, Mayuri, Jagannath, Chandru.
Yes. Sir, the bucket list is the one which we want to do, but still we could not do for one reason or the other. We were telling excuses for not doing the thing. Is that the bucket list?
But then what are you planning to do? What was there in your bucket list? So could you just announce any one item which you have been thinking of doing it very desperately or very eagerly or whatsoever,
Yeah. Correct. So advocacy is on my bucket list. Being advocate, maybe after retirement of after some 10 plus years, then I will start my advocacy. So that is on my bucket list. Teaching the law is on my bucket list. Being the trainer is on my bucket list. Being the actuary is on my bucket list. So the bucket is full of the lists. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful, Jagannath. Okay, Ganesh, go ahead, please.
Yeah.
You can go in for the second one. You have 2 minutes to give a speech extempore.
Yeah. Okay. So this I would call it as a bucket list or item or an aspiration or a dream to chase. Before I fade off, I want to create a old age home. Why a old age home and why not an orphanage? In today's world, with a nuclear family, children abandoning their parents. I have seen a lot of examples in my own, circles. So that is what prompted me. And this has been in my list for almost, say, 10 plus years. I'm in the process of looking forward to creating a blueprint for that. It requires finances, etc., etc. But eventually, I think I'll make it.
Okay. Wish you all the best.
Thank
Would you like to take the second question? You have 2 minutes to give a speech on anything extempore.
Life of a historical figure. Okay. Narendra
No, don't jump on. That is the fourth one.
Oh, okay. Favorite website.
You are seeing the same display like I'm seeing, right? What is the most unique is first. Then you have second is you. Of course, I have not numbered them because it would be easy. Yes.
My favorite website, it was WordPress once upon a time. I'm a kind of a amateur bloggist, I would say. I used to use WordPress, but unfortunately my WordPress account got, blocked and I'm not able to do that. So I do part in, LinkedIn and Facebook. That's my two favorite websites.
Well done. So now the next question is, if you could live the life of an historical figure, Mayuri, would you like to try this? Monica, would you like to try this? Swapna, would you like to try this?
Sure, sir.
Mayuri, go ahead.
Yeah. So if I would live the life of any historical figure, I would choose Rani Lakshmibai because of the spirit and courage that she showed and the her, I would say, the entire life she devoted for the freedom of her empire and all of that. A lot of courage that she showed. So I
Okay,
always wanted to join army, or I always wanted to
Who,
get
Mayuri?
into
Which name?
you can still join.
Rani Lakshmi Bai.
Lakshmi. Acha, Jhansi ki Rani. Okay, okay.
Yes, yes, yes. So if that is one figure that I would want to live, then it would be Lakshmi Bai.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Well done, well done, well done. So now we go on to the next one. If you can learn any one skill right now, what would it be now? Other than Jagannath, other than Ganesh? Yes, Chandru, go ahead.
The one skill that I would like to learn right now is how to handle difficult conversations.
Okay.
That is what would be my one skill that I would like to learn now.
Okay, wonderful. Granted in the sense, Chandru, what we'll do is in this, today we have got 2 sessions. So handling different type of participants is one part of the agenda. So we'll definitely be doing, your wish is already granted and I'm accepting it, and we are going to take it forward. Not to worry. Thank you so much, Chandru.
Thank you.
Well done, well done. Okay. So now, yes, who is there? Sonal, Swapna, would you like to take this? What is something that you feel proud on this weekend or of this weekend?
Yeah, okay, I'll take it.
Please.
This weekend means,
Yes,
last
Swapna.
weekend we missed the class. We didn't have a ISTD class. And this time we were looking forward to the class. And we were very happy that we have only 2 sessions. In
Wow.
fact, when we are in, school, so if there is a break, if there is, some unforeseen situation and the school is closed, we feel very happy. So we are also happy. I'm actually happy that we have only 2 sessions. And second half, I can take a sumptuous lunch and have a good nap.
Wow. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well done.
Not watching cricket?
Cricket, I'm not very interested. So
Achha,
nap
India
is
ka
more
match hai.
important to me.
Okay. Yes. Anil, would you like to take this one? What does your favorite breakfast look like?
Yes, sir, I will take this one. Breakfast is like the king of all the meal we take during the day.
Okay.
So I normally take a very heavy breakfast,
Wow.
and
That's nice.
and then rest of the day is just all small things. So best thing I take normally in the morning is egg, and also I take millet and ragi chapati
Wow.
along with the omelette. So that is my favorite breakfast.
Wow. Wow. A lot of nutrition, a lot of wholesomeness, a lot of goodness. Wonderful. Wonderful. Keep it on, Anil. I think others should also follow. Wonderful. Wonderful. So, Jagannath ji, would you like to take the next one? Or the next one to
No,
next one
sir.
is better, in fact.
Yeah,
Whatever,
for the
whatever. Or you
break,
can take both.
for the breakfast only, I just want to add, I want to have the breakfast, or my favorite breakfast is the Marathi dish, that is thali pit. And
Oh,
I
wow.
want to, I want to give explanation for that also. Again, I refer to the best Marathi author, Pula Deshpande. He says in one of his articles that वो कभी-कभी उनको ऐसे मन में आता है कि वैराग्य ले जाए, संन्यास ले जाए और चला जाए इसे सारा संसार छोड़ के, और तभी बोले बीवी ने बनाए हुआ थाली पीठ की महक याद आती है, महक आ जाती है और वो सारा वैराग्य भूल जाते हैं, फिर संसार में लौट आते हैं. तो थाली
अरे
पीठ इज
वाह,
माय
क्या
मोस्ट
बात है.
फेवरेट ब्रेकफास्ट. थैंक यू.
Wonderful. 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 Well done. Well done. Okay. Someone would like to take, I mean, now a couple of them are left so that we can still go ahead. How would you like to take your coffee, tea, or juice?
Coffee and tea are definitely hot, piping hot, no sugar, and juice is
Okay.
very sweet. This is how I do, and I take a lot of tea, coffee, juice every day.
Oh, wow. Wonderful. 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 Great point, Ganesh. Yeah, that's great. Who would like to take this? Who in your life inspires you the most? Yes, Chandru, go ahead.
My dad.
Oh, wow. Tell us something more. I mean, why does he inspire you? Like, for what reasons? Or maybe, some sort of characteristics or something like that?
Because of the reason that I see his reflection in me. He was
Wow, that's
hardworking.
nice.
He was very supportive,
Okay.
and he worked a lot in his lifetime
Okay.
to raise three of us.
my older brother, my older sister. My older brother, he's ME,
Okay.
and my wife, sorry, my sister, she's a housewife, and myself.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful.
Give us good values, sir. Give us good values in life.
Monica, would you mute yourself, please?
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Monica, I think I can hear some sound, so that's what. Okay.
Hello?
Okay. Absolutely fine. Okay. So, I mean, who would like to take this? This is the most interesting question, actually. Raising a toast to someone for doing a good job. It could be someone in your office, someone at home, maybe your neighborhood or things like that, or even in your profession for that matter. For maybe a good job, maybe work related, maybe something which is exciting, something which is personal. Yes, who would like to try this? Jagannath and someone else has raised. I think both of you can take a chance. That's great.
I think I want to take the previous one. That is, what motivates you the most? In one of the recent training sessions, we had this conversation, and in
Okay.
which again they refer to the Indian mythology, wherein the question is asked, "Koham," who am I? And the answer
Okay.
is Brahmasmi. So, what motivates you the most, as far as the trainer is concerned, should be the person himself, should motivate himself, because that is the best way to be self-motivated. Thank you for that.
Self-motivation. Wonderful, wonderful. Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. And
Now
another is
this,
about the give a toast to someone for doing a good job, whether it be for something mundane, work related, exciting, or personal. Sir, I actually didn't get the concept. Will you please explain?
Jagannath ji and others, what happens is sometimes what happens is you're in such a position that people ask you, yes, Sunil, I'll come to you. Just let me finish this. So what happens is you normally raise a toast. Raise a toast is a Western culture where you're actually picking up a glass of wine. I mean, it's basically a concept. It's basically a legend, actually. You raise a toast, maybe for the success of your organization, maybe for the success of your boss, maybe the success of your family, maybe the success of anything for that matter. Maybe the success of your son's or daughter's achievement in college. It could be anything. So you're raising a toast. Toast is basically honoring and commemorating that sort of event. So that's
So
basically
this is
raising a
really
toast.
wonderful.
So
Yeah,
the
this is
moment you raise it, others will also raise it.
certainly. But whenever any department achieves, like I was a branch in charge in one of our branch offices there, and what used to happen is if some department does some achievement, big achievement, and higher office sends some appreciation letter for them, I used to take individual copies for each person in the department. I used to call them in the cabin and give them hand over the letter to them, laminated, well laminated, and maybe a small gift or something, and having ice cream or something with them. And that was really inspiring. As a trainer also, I think we should all inculcate this habit. Thank you very much.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, Sunil, go ahead. Sunil, go ahead.
So I just wanted to add in that current discussion, like appreciation is one thing which is everybody is craving. So
Yes.
we should definitely not for the big only thing, but small thing. While we are in the home, we can appreciate our spouse, our children, and parents and everyone. So
Very
it
good.
is a basic craving. Everybody would love the appreciation, and it motivates the front person to do the same kind of activity for next time. Even same
Wonderful,
times,
wonderful.
if we appreciate our pet, so pet also tend to do the same thing for us. So I
Very
would
good,
go
very
with
good.
the
Very good.
last. So what motivates you the most? So for me, craving for hunger or craving for to grow more, to be more, and to add the value in the life. That what motivates me. Thank you.
Wow, Sunil, wonderful, 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 wonderful. So keep motivating yourself, keep raising a toast for yourself and for others also. And Mayuri and two others have raised. Yes, Mayuri, go ahead.
Sir, I just want to talk about this, give a toast to someone for doing a good job. That part, something
Okay.
very valuable that we have been practicing in our organization is celebrate failures. For
Yes.
simple reason that failures actually help people to learn from their mistakes, or I wouldn't call them mistakes, but whatever they were not able to achieve. And when you encourage those failures, I think it just motivates them to do a better job and celebrate failures, not only in private but also in terms of group or a department when we are not able to achieve something. So that
Wow,
habit
that's good.
has got inculcated, and I think the fear of failure because of that has reduced. And people are more
Absolutely,
open to talk about how they failed, why they failed, and how they are overcoming that.
and being open to change for improving in the next level. Absolutely wonderful, my someone else has also raised the hand. Yes.
Yeah, I can go ahead on this
Yes, Ganesh, go ahead.
toast. Yeah. So I limit my toast forum to this particular forum, the class that we are handling currently, where people
Oh,
can easily relate. I mean, my toast goes to all these, good souls who are experts and the subject matter experts in their field of learning and development and training, and people like me who are absolutely not from that background learn a lot. And this toast exclusively goes to people like Anil, Mayuri, Jagannath, and others who have been value adding lot into this forum, so that people like me gain a lot from personal knowledge sharing purpose. That's it.
wow, wonderful. Well done, well done. Naturally an inbuilt trainer, I mean, you got all the stuff in you. I can see that enthusiasm, I can see that empowerment, I can see that engagement, and you've got a phenomenal voice.
Thank you.
So I think so whether you're a trainer, learner, educator, coach, mentor, you will do very well in all these roles actually. So
Thank
all
you,
the
sir.
best. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Chandru, go ahead, please.
Yes, I was just going to echo on what Ganeshji just mentioned. I was about to say the same, that I'm inspired a lot by the entire batchmates of the batch 88, and of course all the faculty as well that has been teaching us. So definitely, I would like to raise a toast to all of you, and to mention particularly the name that really motivates me the most is Mayuriji, for sure. Goes without saying.
Wonderful.
A special toast to Mayuriji for special.
Oh, wow. Mayuriji accepted. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much, Chandruji.
She's blessed and we are all blessed. Wonderful.
We definitely are, sir. Definitely blessed.
Talia.
Yes, a double clap. One for Mayuri and one for all of you. So that's how it was. So please understand, Mayuri, you're amazing. Jagannath, you're amazing. Anil, you're amazing. Sonal, you're amazing. Swapna, you're amazing. Anil, you're amazing. Ganesh, you're amazing. Monica, you're amazing. Okay, now jumping onto the text now. Basic facilitator responsibilities. Let us see what the responsibilities actually are. As a facilitator, you're doing a lot of things beyond your normal scope. So you're in fact a philosopher, a guide, a friend, a mentor, a guardian. I mean, it could be even a gardener at times. So you'll be doing a lot of those things to see that you bring in comfort with each of the members of your group to whom you're facilitating or training. So always remember, you need to start with the end in mind, proper objectives, proper outcomes, a proper need analysis, a proper skill gap, a proper moderation. Without that, it doesn't make sense. If I'm going to do a session on communication skills, what part of communication skills, what is my methodology, what is the objectives which are there in mind, what are the skill gaps which are analyzed with your team in office or for an open house whatsoever, what are the outcomes which you will go through after the completion of this facilitation program. Besides that, if I have been able to handle queries, what sort of feedback, any further improvement, steps forward, all those things need to be created. I would like to pick up the word from Ganesh. A blueprint has to be there, exactly, finding out right the complete pathway right from the beginning to each area in between till the time you reach a destination of completing the facilitation exercise with review, with feedback, with proper moderation, with improvement, with remodeling if required. Creation of an amicable environment. Amicable environment is all about connecting, understanding, involving, engaging. The icebreaker activity in itself is a great engagement, involving names. Now you'll remember that most of the times I've been using names. Now please understand, you'll be having similar problems when you're seeing the screen. I'm not able to see you. Let us accept it for fact. So what we need to do is, what I do is, I normally pin up your names on a sheet of paper So it's very easy, because when I see your hands being raised or something like that, or when you're chipping in, I can say Jagannath, I can say Monica, I can say Sonal, I can say Ganesh, I can say Anil. Now it helps bond. Even though some of them might be slightly active or not so active, it really doesn't make a difference, but you need to create a very warm, friendly environment. Using of names brings you to the next level. Encouraging participant engagement. Sorry for the spelling mistake of engagement. Involving as many people as possible. Our facilitator needs to have complete focus on the complete floor. The floor has to be completely his or her, in the sense every participant has to participate. Maintaining the focus, not deviating unnecessarily, setting the time limits. You need to be careful about your time limits, whether it is breaks, whether it is interactions, whether it is activities, whether it is coming up to a conclusion, whether it is coming to a POV. I mean, this is a couple, this word I picked up very recently from a corporate session. The person was saying continuously POV, and someone asked him, what is POV? Anyone knows what is POV?
Point of view.
Yes, friends, what is POV?
Point
Yes,
of view.
yes, absolutely. I will, yes, you're right, absolutely right. So point of view. So each participant's point of view needs to be taken, seeing it from a different lens. Very important. Forming of small groups. When you talk about small groups, even in that focused audience or the focused number of people, could be 15, could be 20, max 25 for a good facilitation. Lesser the better. You still split it into smaller groups of 2 or 3, so that the engagement is more open, more pragmatic, more interactive, more, I mean, they'll tend to, be in sync with what each of us is able to say. The connectivity becomes easier. Forming a cluster is having like-minded people, like views together, creating an affinity map. Affinity map is where you try to focus on certain things relating to a specific topic or a trigger or a theme, like we have seen it in the earlier session. So we'll be able to identify. So once you're able to have the affinity maps, you'll be able to use, maybe you can use a sticky note or maybe some sort of collaborative tool, so that you're able to pitch in and get sticky notes, which will give the viewpoints of each of the participants for that specific theme or that specific trigger related to that training or facilitation or whatsoever. A prioritizing of ideas, following the END formula, END, essential cannot be compromised, necessary goes into place after essential, and desirable would make it really desirable if you do that and you do not ignore. Initiating healthy debates, nothing personal, avoiding conflict, avoiding arguments. Absolutely healthy debates is the need of the hour, and that's what we are here for. Wrapping up with the start in mind. We need to have the wrap up, in the sense you can have maybe a recap or maybe certain things which you would like the audience to say, so that would be a sort of a wrap up or a summation or something like that, which actually helps after each training session. Now in section 2, we are covering module 4 and module 5, and module 6 is the last as per a resource material. So section 2 relates to audience. Audience is participants. The engagement would relate to building up of rapport, smiles, interaction, probing, provoking. Yes, Jagannath ji, go ahead. Yes, Mayur, please go ahead. Yes, Chandru, what's your viewpoint? So that's basically probing and provoking. So you're able to engage, you're able to force out an expression, force out a dialogue. Now, when someone does that forcing out, even though it's provoking or probing, it helps others also to fall in sync. So that's how you're building up the rapport, saying good, saying wonderful, picking up that cue from Sunil. Sunil absolutely said you need to appreciate not just your team, but even people at home, whether it's your spouse or your children or your parents or your in-laws or your neighbors, you need to do that. So that helps in building up a rapport, acceptability, some amount of resilience build up, some amount of compromise, some amount of flexibility to go ahead. Gestures, very important. The body language. I mean, you should not stand stiff like a robot or like a stuffed turkey. You're supposed to have some amount of gestures with support. I mean, it could be your facial expressions, it could be gestures with your hands and things like that. Maybe even your posture. Everything helps when you're actually training. It would be a bit difficult when you're doing it online like now. But yes, when you're doing it physically, every expression would help, because please remember, your face is the mirror of your mind. So any wrong expressions will give a wrong signal, and the rapport would break up, or the audience would feel disengaged. If you start frowning, if you start getting agitated, if you start getting aggressive, I mean, these are all bad modes. So you need to be energetic, cool, sober, have a block of ice on your head till the time the session is complete. Absolutely forget all other things, all concerns, all issues, all problems you'll forget, because you don't have a choice. You are here in a session. You want the session to tick. You want the session to be successful. If you want it to be stellar, you will not bring in personal problems, irrespective whether it is at the workplace or at the office, or maybe at home or on the road. Your purse got picked up, someone tore your shirt, or someone slapped you, or you entered into an argument. You will forget all those things. So audience engagement will depend upon how best you can build up your rapport. Use your gestures, use your eye contact, looking into the camera, looking into people. Swarnlata, could you mute yourself, please? Okay. Eye contact, facial expressions, and body posture. Please, when you're standing or sitting, erect, comfortable positions. We are not like the creeper plants, like a wine creeper, or maybe a money plant or something like that. You don't require a support. You've got a wonderful monkey bone, the spine. So see that you stand erect, sit erect, you look better, you look more professional. So that's what it is. Reclining too much against the sofa, reclining too much on the back doesn't help. Only if required. In between, sometimes you could do. Using appropriate language, no vulgar language, no bad language, absolutely simple language, sometimes multilingual, using Hindi, using Marathi, using Tamil, using Gujarati, depending on how the audience is, along with English. Is the need of the hour, so that you are able to see that the audience is able to listen to you, understand, and go beyond. Okay. So now, how do you establish the learning facilitation relationship? Now, this is basically a sort of a grid. It needs to be proposed by the facilitator. So when you're creating a relationship, now this relationship basically means learning as an exercise during the facilitation session, during the training session. You will have your proposal, the learner will have the proposal. Facilitator's proposal would say what I'm going to teach, what I'm going to facilitate, what I'm going to do, what is going to be the outcome. Proposed by the learner, what I'm expected to go through, what I'm expected to look at, and what are the outcomes which I'll gain after this. That's basically how the proposal needs to fall in sync with each other. The requirement of the management, it's always when you're doing a facilitation session, for your organization, for your company, there will be a specific requirement, a management requirement. That's the apex management or your departmental bosses. So kindly see that that requirement is a part of your structuring of your facilitation or your training program. Course learning program requirement. Absolutely. When you're doing this, when you're understood, when you're analyzed, when you're done a lot of deliberations on how your facilitation or how your training is going to be, you need to consider each trigger which will relate or correlate with the objectives of that specific training program or that module or the facilitation exercise. So that needs to have something positive. There has to be a specific pattern, a specific design, a specific implementation, a specific delivery, a specific outcome. Okay. Always see that it is observation based. When you're talking about facilitation, very unlike training, facilitation is more of observations and less of comments, less of speaking by the facilitator. It's more of observations, so that you will be able to do intelligent offering of certain suggestions at the end when you're moderating or when you're debriefing. Additional support requirement for enhancing of learning. Maybe using different toys or different sorts of index cards or stick me ups or different sorts of games which you'll use. That will all build up to this facilitation or training exercise, which is very common. Now, establishing the learning area. The learning area is now. Like, for example, if this is the training session, this becomes the learning area. Your laptop and that specific time in between 10 to 11:30 or 12 to 1:30 becomes your learning area. That time span, that space, that chair, that table, that part of the auditorium, that part of the training venue becomes your learning area. You need to put infrastructure and superstructure into place so that you're able to have a proper mix which is usable, which is practical for organizational and individual needs. People would have requirements for drinking water, taking a break, maybe having a snack, having a chocolate, going to the washroom, maybe picking up a cup of coffee if it's required. If it can be arranged, great. If the break is big enough, that's okay. Or if the session is too big, then it will become too monotonous. So you need to take care of your learning area. Most of the facilitation exercises would relate to a new or a changed job role. Now, when you say job role, it doesn't exactly relate it to changing of your job position or something like that. Many a times it would mean you are being escalated to a new level, maybe a promotion, maybe a different technology being used, maybe a different KRA being implemented into your existing job role, maybe a new responsibility be given. It's not that a sales guy is going to go into a purchase, or a purchase guy is going to go into accounts, or accounts guy is going to go into legal or something like that. Related job areas or related job roles, if there is a change, facilitation is one of the best ways to take it across, to sensitize with the KRAs or the KPIs. The facilitator can actually do it very well based upon their broad experience. Normally, external facilitators do a wonderful job because they have got varied background and they have no baggage because they are not related to the organization. So no emotional baggage by saying that, oh, I'm a general manager of this company, so I carry a lot of baggage in that case. So rather than that, if I've been working in multiple organizations, my facilitation role to engage with you, to help you transform or transition into the new job role or enhanced job role would be much better. The working procedures, the style, the pattern, sensitizing of standard operating procedures could be more easier through a facilitation exercise. Many a times technical skills. Now, when you talk about technical skills, this should be more appropriate. When you talk about learning area, it is not only confined to facilitation, it is confined even to technical trainings. When you're talking about trainings, trainings are more focused that these are the skills, these are the competencies, this is how you're going to do it, this is the pattern, this is the framework, this is the timing, this is the methodology, this is how you do the demonstration, this is how you do the practice, this is how you go ahead and you perfect yourself. So technical skills need not be a facilitation exercise. It is more essentially into a deeper part of the training skills or imparting of training. A facilitation would be more of a superficial way of doing your technical skills in a better manner. Life skills, yes. Life skills is something which all of us are practicing it at all times. All of us are practicing it at all times, every day, whether you're doing training or not training, you are doing life skills. Can some of you relate or tell what some life skills are? Examples of
Sir,
life skills?
Is it related to the daily hacks, how we can simplify our life, or how we can
Exactly.
inculcate
Like what?
such
Like
habits
what?
which will make uh,
May I?
whatever having
Yeah, please go
schedule,
ahead. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So stress
having
management, conflict management can
Life
also be.
skills. Oh, sorry.
Yes, go ahead. Good. Stress management, conflict management. Very good.
Yeah.
Resilience.
So,
Resilience. Yes, very good.
important decision making in life.
Important decision making in life. Yes.
Negotiating day-to-day stuff of life.
Negotiating day-to-day stuff. Wow, that's great. Any more
Patience,
chippins?
communication, commitment.
Communication, commitment, adjustment, compromise, flexibility, all those things what you're doing, it may be quite normal, but to make it better, you tend to adjust to a lot of things. Sometimes you may change your route, your pattern, your style of communication, your style of interaction many a times to accommodate the person, to avoid conflict or to avoid maybe debate or to avoid even interaction for that matter. For example, when you go out to work, you see a person and that person deliberately stops you. talks to you and makes you feel stupid, makes you feel bad. So possibly, is there a way out either to handle this in a different way? Now, how would I handle it is, I would love to avoid the person by leaving a bit early so that I don't confront him. Second is, I would change my approach maybe and talk pleasantly with him and move fast so that I don't stand and get irritated because I've got my work to do. Thirdly, I would see that the person has crossed and then I leave a bit late and then pick up the speed and reach my office. Whatsoever, it all depends how you can do. So a lot of resilience, a lot of adjustment, a lot of flexibility in managing your life better. It could relate to personal lives, it could relate to professional lives, it could relate to every aspect. This is what we are teaching our children also. Adjusting, not just to failures, adjusting to being part of a group, adjusting to, learning to respond, learning to accept certain things, learning to create a pattern. All those things are part of life skills. Generic skills and management skills, certain skills which we may be not very good at. Commonly, when we say communication skills, problem solving, decision making, they could be a bit generic also, because they will envelop a huge number of competencies which are related to that skill. So when you put it into practice with a predetermined level of behavior, then it becomes more specific. Management skills are anything where you're able to manage people, manage processes, manage multiple things, all the resources for production for that matter. Anything where the work or the performance or the organizational requirements ask you or demand of you, if you are able to do it well and the performance is great, productivity is optimum, then you are going to be better. Facilitation teaches you all that. A lot of places you learn to compromise, a lot of places you learn not to be too emotional, a lot of places you learn not to answer back, a lot of places you'll understand to ask only needed questions. All those things would be part of your life skills, or specializing in generic and management skills. Communication is one big funda. It's all about communication. Thousands and thousands of communication exercises, communication skills, whether it is argument, debate, conflict, problem solving, interaction, group talk, whatsoever. Everything is part of communication. It could relate to maybe sender, receiver, type of message, type of medium, the type of response, the type of feedback, the type of action, the type of stimuli. All those things would relate to whether it is email, whether it is in person, whether it is using some sort of a device, some sort of a software. Everything could relate to communication. Passing of a message which is easily understandable, which is easily readable, which is visually accepted, which is audibly accepted, which can be kinesthetically felt. So multiple things would relate to communication. Now, when you talk about communication, interpersonal skills, irrespective of their domain, all trainers, all facilitators, all human beings, all leaders, all managers, all teachers, all educators, all learners need to be interpersonal. We live in a society, we live in a community, we live in a place where we need to develop wonderful relationships, not just with self, but with others also. You need to love yourself and you need to love others. The relationship, the bonding, the bonhomie, as we call it, has to be great. Conflict management as a way forward. Learn to differ, but compromise if required. Working together to differ and to come together. Both the things are required. Positive vibrations, very important. When you are able to vibrate positively, whether it is in terms of meditation, prayer, satsang, some amount of action, some amount of whatsoever, maybe some sort of a song or a poem, whatever it could be, a sort of a positive vibration, or even something where you, even like the laughter therapy for that matter, all of us start laughing at one specific time, and that creates a lot of positive vibration or aura in the room. Not only in your room, in all rooms of how many people are connected with us. The self-awareness, learning to do the SWOT, learning to be aware, because you learn to know what you are good at, you can still follow, and what you're slightly requiring to improvise or rectify to be a better person, highly appreciated. The art of collaboration, learning to collaborate, learning to pick up ideas, share knowledge, very important. Being part of a team, being part of a group, being part of a community, being part of a society, being part of a cluster, being part of an affinity group helps you to belong, whether you are from the group of human resource professionals, L&D, learning and development professionals, engineers, architects, chartered accountants, facilitators, multiple, information security professionals, multiple areas, that belongingness, or maybe something, if you all have heard of Toastmasters. Anyone is a member of the Toastmasters International? Any of you all are members of the Toastmaster International?
What is that, sir? Can you explain?
Yes, I mean, you can Google it out. Toastmasters is basically a group where they help you to do public speaking, interactions, improving your communication, and they have a fellowship pattern. Fellowship pattern is basically, it relates to one specific area. So when you're talking about even the area where you're staying, that might be having different district-wise distribution and all that. So you meet at one place, you enjoy, you talk, you spend for your lunch, you spend for your dinner, you spend for that specific event, and you have a lot of exercises where you improvise on your communication. You're allowed to do public speaking. You're helped to correct yourself. You're told how to give a speech. You're told how to offer a sales page. You're told how to engage with an audience and all that. So multiple things they teach you, and they have different level contests. City level, state level, country level, international level. So even the speech or whatever you're giving, it's got a time limit. Yes, Mayuri, I'll come to you. So what happens is you're able to develop yourself to a new high. When you be a part of the Toastmasters or something like that, it's a different high. It's not just the Toastmaster. There are many other forums also available. Many other forums like Landmark and all that also. They're very good. A bit expensive. If some of you are being sponsored by the organization, great. Otherwise, or even the JCIs. I'm told in Rajasthan there is something which is known as the Junior Chamber International, JCI. They also have their presence in certain areas of South. So these people give you an opportunity to interact, to speak, to address, to do public speaking. That's basically what we need actually, to develop more of confidence, to do your trainings better, to facilitate better. I mean, that's amazing. Okay. So if you're not becoming a member, no problem, but try to attend one of these events as a guest. When you're attending as a guest, it is much cheaper, and you can still decide whether to continue or not. So one session, you eat, drink, put in a small speech of 2 minutes or 3 minutes, and then enjoy, interact, take in objections also, take in certain points of observation, and then leave. If you want to do extensively, then you can be part of that district. Yes, Mayuri, you had raised your hand.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to add to what you were saying, and thank you so much for giving the explanation on
Sure.
Toastmaster. Just wanted to tell the batchmates that we have got about 3 or 4 people in our batch who already are a part of the Toastmaster.
Wow.
No, yeah. So we have Colonel Amarjeet Singh, we have with it, I think, and one or two more people. And I was talking to Colonel Saab a couple of days ago when he was telling me that Toastmaster has given him so much of confidence. He's a retired colonel, and then he started training. And he said that before I actually went on to group trainings, I attended a couple of these sessions. On day when I was forced to give my feedback to a person in the group, and I just didn't know what to do. But that helped me actually to be able to be a great public speaker and gave me confidence. So it's a very good opportunity. People who really are interested in public speaking and getting that confidence, I think should definitely be a part of Toastmasters. I think the fees is some 4,000 rupees for whatever membership or whatever, and people can join and decide whether they want to continue. So it's a good initiative. Thanks.
At least try to go in as a guest once, and then you'll be able to make the difference and then decide upon the membership and all that. That's great. Wonderful. Thank you, Mayuri, for the inputs. Absolutely. If you've got colleagues and batchmates, absolutely you start. I mean, the story begins right there. So it helps you to develop your esteem. So you start becoming more confident. You start respecting yourself. People normally do not respect. You have an inferiority complex. Most of us have an inferiority complex. I cannot do it. I will not be able to do it. What will people say? What will people object to? If I cannot smile well, if I cannot talk well, I mean, be your natural self. Each of you is Shah Rukh Khan. Each of you is Virat Kohli. Each of you is Amitabh Bachchan. Each of you is Katrina Kaif. Each of you is Madhuri Dixit. So it hardly makes a difference. It's only the esteem part. So learn to improve, constantly keep on doing something where you're improving. Think of different people, different legends like Vivekananda and all that, and you'll do really well. The power within to connect with people, bond with people, mix, match will make the relationships better. So even in your own organizations, friends, you must have seen people, some of the people whom you have been interacting, very comfortable. The moment they talk to you or the moment they shake hands with you, you feel as if everything is done. The whole day is wonderful now. So, I mean, that's the way the energy flows through. That's basically the power of connection, the law of attraction, as we call it. You're able to connect, you're able to go to a different level, and you look forward to meet that person. So that's what it is in you and all of us. Have a lot of fun. Ignore, sometimes people will be there, they will tell you a lot of things. It really doesn't make any difference. Have fun, enjoy. Even if you make mistakes, you can always correct and go to the next level. Characteristics of learners would widely depend upon factors like age, the cultural background, the educational experience, the motivation, and cognitive abilities. Now, why do you consider this? As a facilitator, it is very important. The same program, for example, communication skills. If I'm going to do it for a batch of primary students, then I do it for a batch of secondary students, then I do it for the MBA, then I do it for leaders. Even though the basic triggers would be same, the functionality and the content needs to differ, because what the primary kid can digest will not be very readily acceptable to the secondary or the college or something like that. So you'll need to curate your content. So it's very important. Again, cultural background is of great importance. You'll need to put into sync a more professional, a more open, and a more diverse background without being too specific to any community or anything like that. It can be very general at times. Like, for example, when you say Toastmasters are not affiliated to religion or any sort of biased groups. They are open groups. They are open groups where any member from any walk of life can join, any age, any background. As far as your ideologies match, as far as the concepts match, you can actually go ahead. Education actually is the next level. People would say what really matters. It really makes a lot of difference, because the level of comprehension, the level of conviction, the level of understanding, the level of responding, the level of absorbing knowledge like a sponge would differ based upon your educational experience. And again, as trainers, you will understand, and you must be seeing it yourselves, trainers, facilitators, managers, leaders, educators, learners. You will see that the moment you have some sort of experience in different areas or in different spheres, automatically adjustment, acceptance, and you start fitting into the place. You start accepting the mindsets of people would be more easier than if I have one specific way of thought. So we will not use horse blinds, but we'll have an open box where we are allowing a lot of fertile thoughts, a lot of fertile things to come into our mind. We'll collaborate cross-culturally and develop. Motivation. Be like a cheerleader, like I always keep telling you. Motivate yourself. Yes, you're doing well. Sunil, you're doing well. Jagannath, you're doing well. Mayuri, you're doing well. Swapna, you're doing well. Your cognitive abilities. Do a lot of exercises, online, offline. Cognitive is something where you can recognize, understand, bring out a meaning, to that. What you see some in a picture may be very different than what someone else sees in a picture. I mean, like, for example, you have this thematic appreciation test, TAT. One picture can depict one idea in your mind, but if 20 people are watching that same picture and they're told to write reflective points about that picture, I'm sure that 20 into 10 would be 200 different triggers related to that thematic appreciation test, and many will not converge. There will be a lot of divergence, a lot of different, because each of us is seeing it from a different lens. So I mean, so that's what you need to understand. All learners are built in differently and independently. Critically consider certain things are repeated here: motivation, curiosity, self-discipline, persistence, critical thinking, open-mindedness, creativity, collaboration, adaptability, confidence, education, experience, maturity, and culture. Okay. Now let's see how the difference between the learning implications. We have to be very pragmatic as facilitators and trainers. The language which you speak should be the same. Whether I'm talking in Hindi or in English or in Marathi, it should be easily understandable. The stimuli which I offer, the questions which I pose should be easily understandable, acceptable, so that you give a proper response as a participant, as a respondent, as a learner, whatsoever. the different abilities which all of us have got independently make a difference. So I need to encourage each of you all to use your abilities to the best, to develop each of yourselves as a unique individual, as a special individual. There is no other Jagannath, there is no other Sunil, there is no other Chandru. It's just one special person. That's you. So be proud of that feature. You may tend to copy, you may tend to do a lot of things, but it really makes a lot of difference. Ethnicity is basically some orientation. Ethnicity, the best example which I would give, not exactly to facilitation, is the Navratri celebrations or the Dasera celebrations or the Diwali celebrations. You tend to get into that mold of using a specific type of costume, specific type of sweet, specific type of celebration, maybe some certain specific type of music and all that. So that level of ethnicity is of great importance. How you interpret, how the learner interprets is of great importance. The employment support, any sort of a training exercise is basically to develop the person into a better person, professionally, personally. Even a facilitation exercise could be possible for making you a better manager, or maybe a better leader, or maybe a better person to get into that role, maybe a new job role, maybe a new organization, maybe a new responsibility, maybe changing over to a new concept. Absolutely, and it's all allowed. Absolutely, it could be allowed. It could help you in doing counseling. Counseling helps to understand a person's psyche, relate, answer, multiple things. And community support, overall community support. Working with people, working with the community is basically what it is. Community is basically maybe related to your office, related to your neighborhood, related to your profession, related to your society, related to your close-knit people in a group, and all those things. The support which each of you all give each other is of great help.
When we stand and present, we want to come across as confident and composed. And one of the great ways to do that is by working on our body language. Let's look at 3 ways to improve your nonverbal body language in presentations. Coming up. Hello again, friends. If you've never seen one of my videos, I'm Alex Lyon, and this channel, Communication Coach, is here to help you increase your impact so you can lead your teams to higher levels of excellence. And I believe that presentation skills are really an important part of leadership. You're going to be standing and presenting quite frequently if you're in any kind of leadership position. So we want to get just a little bit better at this. Let's look at 3 ways you can improve your nonverbal body language so that people can hear your message in a much more confident and composed way. And these tips, by the way, go together. So each of the 3 tips have a couple of pieces, as you'll see. So the first tip is eye contact and smile. So eye contact, you have to look directly into somebody's eyes that's listening about 99% of the time. You don't want to look too much at your notes. You don't want to look back at your slides, really. You certainly don't want to look at the floor or over their heads. There's a lot of bad habits out there in terms of eye contact. You want to look directly in someone's eyes almost the whole time, and that really takes quite a bit of practice. The other thing you want to do is look directly into somebody's eyes long enough to finish a thought and then move on to the next person. So you don't want to just stare at one person the whole time, and you don't want to scan so that you're never locking in. A communication coach actually once told me, 1 thought, 1 look. So long enough to finish about a sentence, feel that connection, and then you move on to the next person. So what do you do with your face while you're making eye contact? You've got to smile. A lot of times people get overly robotic when they present. They might be making good eye contact, but their face is stern and it doesn't look like anything's happening emotionally. You want to smile and warm your face up a little bit so that when you're making eye contact with somebody, they feel a connection with you that's welcoming and supportive. You don't want to come across as a deer in the headlights. Tip number 2, posture and gestures, and these things go together. So in terms of what not to do for posture, you don't want to shuffle your feet back and forth. You don't want to sway your hips. You don't want to cross and uncross your legs repetitively. You don't want to pace around like a wild person. By the way, if you want to walk in a presentation, it's okay to walk a little bit, but make sure when you walk, you stop and you say a little bit before you walk again. So walk with a purpose, stop, share your message, and then maybe a minute or so later, walk again. Don't pace. So once you have these don'ts out of the way, what should you do? You want to stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. This is how you would stand if you weren't self-conscious about how you're standing. We get self-conscious when we present, but really all you have to do is stand like a normal person. Then you want to put just a tiny bit of weight on the front of your foot and a little tiny bit lighter on your heels, and your whole foot is still touching, but you have a little bit more of a ready, responsive position. You also want to soften your knees a little bit. You don't want to have locked knees. Bad things happen when you lock your knees. I'm not sure of the physiology of it, but when people lock their knees, they oftentimes pass out when they're nervous, and you don't want to do that in the middle of your presentation. So soften those knees. Now you've got your posture, let's add some gestures to it. You don't want to put your hands in your pockets. You don't want to put your hands behind your back. You don't want to grab onto different parts of your body for security. All that looks very distracting. So here's what you should do. You should loosely clasp your hands at about belt level, and then you should just gesture naturally from there. You don't want to interlock your fingers, and you don't want to wring your hands, because then you'll get too locked in and it's hard to let go. But if you practice at home just loosely clasping your hands like this, then just start to gesture naturally from here. And that's the way to do it. Small little gestures just like this. You can do this all day long, and it's just going to add a nice emphasis to your words, and it's not going to be distracting whatsoever. Tip number 3, you want to pause, and when you pause after a key idea, add a little tiny bit of a nod. I've seen some really convincing and persuasive speakers do this, and what you'll notice if you pause after a key idea and nod, that pause is really persuasive, but the nodding is contagious. You'll see that people listening to you actually start to nod a little bit with you, and that's one of the ways that you know you have them. It's a very subtle but powerful nonverbal body language tip. So those are my 3 tips for improving your nonverbal body language when you're presenting, but I'd like to hear your tips. Question of the day: how do you recommend that we improve our body language while we're presenting? Please put the comments below in that section. I look forward to reading those. So thanks, God bless. I'll see you in the next video.
So friends, how did you like the video? Is good?
Yes,
It was
sir.
superb, sir.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things, it's always better to share, because irrespective of it may be more focused on training or communication, but then facilitators are also part of that, So let's see some evaluation and assessment. This is all what we normally follow. We tend to interview, we use a lot of questionnaires, we have certain focus groups to get the correct responses. We do observation analysis so that we are able to understand how people perform, what are the gaps. So as a facilitator, you'll have the privilege of going through many of this pre-hand, post-hand, during, and all those things, various exercises, so that you're able to bring in some sort of a change, some sort of an improvement. You can use the Survey Monkey. This is basically one area where you can, you can get ready-made stuff. You can do your questionnaires and all ready-made. You can time it up and all. Google Forms are there, which are again easier. Donald Kirkpatrick's 4-level training model. This is a very interesting way of going into a different reaction and learning and behavior and results. Many a times people are not able to follow this process. Please understand, the Donald Kirkpatrick 4-level training evaluation model is just like a project. When you talk about a project, I'm not talking about an ISTV project, I'm talking about any project for that matter. It works in phases. So till the time you complete the first phase, you cannot go to the next. You cannot go to the next and next. So people do a lot of things, they do a lot of work on the reaction, and the moment they are not able to get the assessments or the inputs or the figures or analytically interpret, they jump onto learning, or they jump onto behavior, or they directly go into results. It doesn't work like that. It has to be in a specific pattern. You need to clear your reaction and then go on to learning, then check up with the behavior, and then look out for the results. Only in that case, properly timing, proper use of instruments only will make your Kirkpatrick assessments successful. Besides that, what exercises normally trainers follow and facilitators follow is we use parametric and infinity assessments. Parametric would be where we're using numbers, and infinity is basically where we'll be able to express in terms of maybe the immediate responses of what you're seeing, whether it's about body language or behavior or how the task is being completed or something like that. So that's more easier because it's spontaneous, and many a times, many of us as trainers or facilitators do not get a very long-term opportunity or even a second opportunity to do a review session. It's just like a firefighting exercise. I train or I facilitate this session, and then next time I do not meet you all at all again. So now in that case, I will be able to give, I will never be able to give a 360 degrees feedback or an evaluation, because I'm not able to understand each of you all in this 2 hours or in this 3 hours of training which I've been assigned by the organization. So at that point of time, I can do a more generic infinity test, or maybe a parametric test, or maybe both. I could do it in the form of an Excel sheet and give the values or numbers, or maybe certain descriptions for each of them, and then share it in the form of a diagnostic report. So that's how it is. So you need to have a lot of exercises and a lot of evaluations being done. Formative, summative, you can use quizzes, you can use polls, you can use case studies, you can use role plays, you can do storytelling, you can do build-ups, you can do multiple things. You can have breakout rooms, and you can evaluate certain things from the deliberations which are done. So it could be on a continuous format, or it could be in integrated format. Plus you have a summative thing. So when you talk about summative, you include multiple things, and you have a very comprehensive way of assessment and evaluation. All this would be needed for evaluating new type of skills, maybe the new knowledge, the learner experience, the employee happiness, the cultural impact, the efficiency impact, and the return on investment impact. So multiple things you'll be able to do through your evaluation exercise. They could be scientific, they could be using some software, they could be basically using worksheets also. I mean, I still feel comfortable using a worksheet, using my pen and paper. It also gives good results, and then later on I can always get it transferred on a proper Word doc or something like that, or a Google sheet or something like that, and share it with my client. So multiple things are available. It's a requirement, it's a compulsion, it's a compliance where we need to do, otherwise the training exercises fail. If you're not able to evaluate, or if you're not able to offer your opinions, improvements will not take place. If there is a review, appreciate it. After 15 days, after 21 days, whatsoever. I normally offer a 45 minutes free review session after the main session is over, maybe in 2 weeks time, 3 weeks time, so that we have a friendly session. It could be free also. Just have a coffee, discuss what could happen, and that could be there could be a possibility of getting further business, or there could be some sort of a remedial approach where I say my job is over, and I will put you on to a few links who are into assessments, or who are into Jagannath, I'll come to you, who are into remedial training. There are specialists who actually work into remedial trainings. So their area or their specializations are different. Assessment people work only on assessment. They will not be comfortable in training or facilitation. So they believe in sharing instruments, sharing tools, sharing questionnaires, assessing people on the job, off the job, during the exercises, and giving a diagnostic report. So multiple times we may use them as a team, or you could start and that person could finish, or that person could start and then you could take over from there. Yes, Jagannath, you can go ahead, please.
Yes, sir. Regarding the evaluation, I want to know more about the post-training follow-up, especially in terms of ROI or ROTI. When it is the training was related to, say, marketing people or field staff or sales personnel. So can you throw some light on this post-training follow-up? Thank you.
When you're talking about post-training, basically, if you're teaching them for becoming better sales professionals, or maybe, sales performers, or something, sales champions or something like that, maybe you'll be giving them a time span of 3 months or 6 months. So hands-on, when they're doing hands-on, when they are in their territories, or they are, deciding upon what sort of quotas they're going to handle, what sort of clients they're going to handle, how they're going to improve the business, how they're going to relate with the increase in turnover and all that. That is where we need to have specific instruments to find out whether the training which has been imparted has brought in some improvement in their performance. That will relate to the return on investment. That spending of money for that 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, 15 hours of training which we did, where those people were away from work. Yes.
Yes, sir. Like we mentioned about the new skills, you mentioned all these is needed for evaluating new skills and knowledge, and especially that is how whether they have implemented it or not, and whether that has reflected in the progress of their performance, means improved performance. That is required, isn't it?
That can happen only after a review.
Yeah, by applying the new skills and knowledge,
Yes.
what should be evaluated is the positive part. Thank you.
So if they are able, if their performance is better, if the figures are better, the sales has increased, the mapping shows that there are more clients or more quantity being sold, the quotas have enhanced, then definitely it shows that their training has been done. If not, if there is a shortfall, if there is a gap, that doesn't mean that training is bad. It's possible that maybe some amount of remedial training is required, some sort of hand holding is required, maybe some sort of support is required. So that will need to be done independently with those trainees or participants who are into the field now.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So now it's basically activity time. So let's see what the activity is. I mean, this is a review. I want you all to take this review of a case study, which is basically on communication skills. Asha is a qualified nurse and has been working for 3 years. She's looking for more challenging roles in her work and will, in the very near future, be applying for jobs away from her current hospital. So it's understood, friends, that Asha is a qualified nurse. She's a trained nurse. She's been working for almost 3 years and she's looking for challenging roles in her work in the very near future, either in her organization or other than her organization, I mean, in other places, other hospitals or other healthcare units. She wants to go home to attend to her ailing mother who's almost 180 kilometers away. So now this is a pressing concern, or this is an issue which she has got. Possibly she's got no one else attending to her ailing mother who's almost 180 kilometers. That's maybe 2.5 hours or 3 hours away from where she's working. So she would love to attend to her and be on her side and help her out with medicines and talk some nice comforting words, maybe cook for her, eat with her, discuss with her, all those things. So where her mom will feel better, which is not happening, maybe due to her duty hours or maybe due to her additional responsibilities and things like that, maybe staff shortage. Okay. Asha is very vocal. Asha is a nurse. She's very vocal and she works under her own initiative, though at times she seeks advice from her more experienced colleagues. So she's very vocal. Sometimes she feels depressed, sometimes she feels sad, sometimes she feels hurt. She takes her own initiative. She's a good worker, but at times, sometimes she may take advice, even though she feels lost at times or she feels that she's not doing the right thing. She does seek advice from her more experienced colleagues, but she jumps in before thinking. As facilitators and as trainers, we should take this point very cautiously. She jumps in before thinking. So that means she is capable of doing things, or what sort of any sort of task or activities which she is supposed to do as a nurse. She jumps at that rather than thinking and doing that. So sometimes it may be incorrect, it may be wrong, it may not be necessary, and all those things. So Asha can be very impatient with those she thinks are not up to the speed, and she has on occasion undermined non-qualified staff working alongside her. So this gives a broader picture that sometimes she is working with certain juniors or interns or people who have just joined or maybe who are having lesser number of years of experience. I mean, the earlier slide showed that she's got 3 years of experience, so something less than that. So everyone's competency is different, even though the job roles may be similar. So she tends to lose her patience and she thinks that the other person is not up to the speed, not up to the requirement. Now, this requirement has been set by her own self, not by someone else. And on occasion, maybe she scolds or maybe she says something hurting or she belittles the non-qualified staff. Non-qualified in the sense, the person may be qualified. She thinks that they are not qualified or competent. I think the better word would have been non-competent or incompetent or something like that. Non-qualified may be a wrong term, but this case study had that. That's why I directly reproduced. Working alongside her. Asha is outgoing, but at times it is problematic. She is outgoing, she's an extrovert, but at times she is problematic as she talks rather than listens. So, listening is a great virtue, but she tends to talk more. Patients feel. Now, this is another part of the story. Earlier, it was the employees who were working with her. Now, it's the other side. Patients basically are bringing in business, even though they're coming to see that they get well. Money is coming in, the salaries, the facilities of the hospital, all depends on that. Patients feel that the requests are at times being ignored. Many a times in the hospitals, this is quite a common thing. You may request for something, and even though it's easily possible, people tend to ignore. I mean, the nurses or even the doctors or even the nutritionists and all, they tend to ignore it, even though it's very easily possible. This has been discussed with Asha by her seniors, though it does not appear on her performance appraisals. So many times informal discussions have been taken place, but Asha has tended to continue that and not doing. The sister in charge, that's her senior, Malti, has been trying to get Asha to look at how she interacts with the patients, but with little success, as Asha feels she does her job very well. Now, this is another problem area where Asha feels that she's the best or she's doing their job well. It's not that she's not doing her job well, but she could have done it better if she was more understanding, more flexible, more accommodating towards the patients as well as the junior employees. Asha has undertaken mandatory training. I mean, certain trainings are mandatory. You have certain trainings which you need to go in the past year, but has done no specific other training. That means no remedial or correctional training has taken place. So now we have understood the background. Now the review wants you to get into the role of Asha and review yourself. That means one of you is going to consider going through the role of Asha and how you review yourself and how you're going to share this. For example, you're told to share it in front of a board of people. When you say board, it doesn't mean you're senior. They could be psychologists, or there could be certain psychoanalysts, or maybe there could be certain counselors who want to advise you on how to get better. So how will you present yourself? And second is Malti, who's her in charge, her senior. How is she reviewing Asha? So what I'll do is, before I stop sharing, I will go back to the first slide. I pause it for a slightly, a couple of seconds more so that you can go across that again. Okay, who would like to take this? Come on, friends, who would like to take this now?
Probably I can take the
Yeah, please go ahead. Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Maltese part, not the self one. Probably
No problem. No problem.
As a colleague or as a senior.
No problem. Go ahead,
Okay,
please.
my feedback. I mean, this is a very classical case that we have our own team members who are exactly like this, who rather are more eager to talk rather than to listen. Probably that is the background from which I start from. So my feedback for the Asha is going to be like, okay, first in the role, your role requires to be more attentive, more patient, and have a active listening, not just even a listening. It's an active listening, and that's when you can empathize with the patients, and from there you can pick up their actual problems, and it enables a better treatment. And don't always be in a hurry to answer. Listen carefully, understand what they want to say, and rather than being in a replying mode most of the time, because when you're in a replying mode, you don't listen. You just are in a hurry to answer, so that your thoughts are clouded with only a response and not understanding the situation. This is going to be a feedback, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful. Now, who's going to get into the role of Asha? Come on, fast. Yes, yes, Chandru, go ahead.
Yes, so basically, role of
you can also
Asha.
come in next. Yes.
So, sir, I just wanted to add something more on the manager feedback, but after Chandruji finishes, I can add one point which I felt was important. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Mayuri will take a comment after Chandru is done.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. After Chandruji is done. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayuri. So basically, the role of Asha, as she's a nurse, it's a very humble profession. So what she needs to review is, first of all, her job requirements. What is required of her in the job, so that she can adapt to that changes and to adapt to the role of the nurse, because she is a qualified nurse to begin with, and she has worked for 3 years. So the job role is not new for her to begin with. So I would say important is for her to review herself and review her job requirements, review what her roles is, and also take into consideration that that she's going to be working with a lot of people and she's going to be handling a lot of patients. So everybody looks upon her as a role model, and because she has a lot of experience, and though she is very good at her job, she still needs to take charge and listen to everybody carefully, as Ganeshji mentioned, and then take those thoughts into consideration. That would be my feedback, sir.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Absolutely. Mayur, you can have your comment.
So I remember reading in the details that you put out that she also is looking at a promotion and is looking at different jobs and wants to grow. Now that's a perennial problem with the younger generation, that they want everything very fast. They want success also very fast. And I face it. I mean, I even face it at home when my son is like, I have spent now 6 months in this role, I should get a hike or I should get a change in my designation. Knowing that it's not possible, and we have slogged for more than 5 years before we were promoted to the next role or something. So I think as a manager, Malti ideally also should probably sit down with Asha and explain to her the career progression options that are available and how long does it take to move from one role to another, or what are some of the qualities or requirements for her to move into the next role. So as a career guider, career guidance, or as a manager, you also act as the coach sometimes. So it's important that Malti brings out those nuances when she has a discussion with Asha, because only then so she will not lose a good resource, because if Asha doesn't get her promotions here, she might look at going to some other hospital. So it's important that if you've got a good staff and you want to retain them, some of the tactics are to act as a coach. So we recommend some programs for her so that she's able to self and kind of bring out the nuances that are required. So that was my two bits.
Wonderful, Mayuri. I mean, that input is highly because as a senior, as an in charge or whatever it is, you are actually her mentor or coach or maybe guardian or philosopher or maybe whatever. So you should consider the other part of the story also. Like possibly if we are too harsh on her or something like that, then it's quite possible that Asha might just throw up the job and go somewhere else. And to get qualified or seasoned nurses in the healthcare is a big challenge. So, wonderful, wonderful, absolutely. Yes, Swapna, you raised your hand.
Yeah, this is on behalf of Malti. There are two things which I've observed, which was written.
Sure.
One thing is that in the appraisal, this portion is not coming out, that she is a poor listener and the communication is not very good with the patients as well. So in appraisal, this point is not coming out. So since it is not coming out, she doesn't know about it, that because she's thinking she's getting good appraisal marks. So why she should improve? That is one aspect. One aspect which was mentioned is that she has not got training. Initial training she had, but she did not get some further training. So one thing is that some soft skill training can be given to her, so that because internally people don't take internal people very seriously. But when you are being trained by an external person, then they are more professional in their approach, and probably with that, her these communication skills and the listening skills can be improved. These were my two observations.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, very rightly said. So there is still scope for growth. There is still scope for development, capability enhancement. So I mean, like telling her, I mean, teaching her something, or maybe imparting the right sort of skills. She can be part of some sort of a soft skill lab or something like that. Very extensively work can be done, and there could be a lot of improvisation. Wonderful, Swapna. Wonderful. Yes, I just wanted to add something more.
Yes, sir. Just wanted
Please,
to add
please.
one more thing.
Please,
Just
please,
basically
please.
on what just Swapna just mentioned. It was basically to do with the fact that what Asha can also do is self-enroll, some adult learning courses, some training and development courses, and take upon herself the challenge that she's facing.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks. Wonderful. That's what I mean. Lot of good inputs, and this is how the analysis actually works. So yes, 1 second. Let me jump back to the screen so that in case there is something. Points, people who observed, people who have participated, and all that. So I will just do this session agenda. Will just, I mean, this will be doing in the second session. So we are going to just check on how we are going to plan a presentation, how we are going to do, certain things about how to curate and create a session plan. How do we do the session content, the occupational health and safety reasons, planning for emergencies, preparations, benefits of planning, skills required, 3 M's and 3 P's, all part of your course curriculum. So we need to do that. So with this, what we'll do is we'll take a break over here. If you all have got some questions, I'm open to certain questions, or else we'll break in a couple of minutes from now.
Sir, can you please provide us some more details about our facilitation skill assignment, sir?
I didn't get you. Can you go over it again, please? Details of?
Our facilitation skills assignment. We do have some doubts regarding that, sir.
Your response sheets.
Assignments, sir. Assignments.
Assignments are response sheets.
Yes, sir.
So
so in that assignment, we have one doubt, sir.
Please ask. Please read it out, because I will not, maybe I'll not be able to recollect it immediately, but because you're seeing it or you have it in front of you, can you just read it out or tell, so that it will be much easier for me to tell you something on that?
Sure, sir. So
Please.
The question is, what are the qualities required for an effective facilitator?
Okay.
Support with an example of using storytelling as a facilitation technique at ABC Enterprises.
Okay. So now, which part of the question is difficult, seems difficult, or you require something you feel?
Sir, in particular, now we would like to clarify that what approach we would like to do in that assignment. It's a detailed explanation of the required qualities, with each quality with a storytelling, or we can
No. There are two parts of a question. So when you talk about qualities, you will be discussing the skills and the competencies. That's basically the qualities or traits of a facilitator. It could be empathy, proper communication, understanding, reasoning, logic, analytical approach, more giving than taking, all those things, more engagement, more empowering, all those, whatever things you are actually putting in may not necessarily be the same as in your study material. It could be much more, because you are actually, many of you are seasoned trainers or managers or leaders. So it would definitely help when you give your qualities. Second is when you take your, yes. Second is when you talk about the storytelling, we have done a couple of stories in our earlier presentations also, Padma Priya. So what you could do is you could relate with how storytelling, that is the parts of a story. We have got certain parts of a story. So how do we develop a story? How do we develop it? Is it based on a theme? Is it based on a concept? Is it based with pictorial? Is it based with pictures and words? Does it have a moral? Does it have a meaning? Does it have a significance? So what happens is we did a couple of them. If you have seen, if you remember, we did something about the tortoise. You remember?
Yes, sir. Yes,
then
sir.
we did something about the frog. Then we did something about the shoes. So these are multiple stories you will get. Then I think you all must have seen one common thing. If you have not seen it, next session, not the one which I'm doing today, but the last one I'll do, where you have an exciting, beautiful story which all facilitators should go. It's easily available on YouTube. That's basically the story of the coffee bean, carrot, and the egg. Egg, carrot, and the coffee bean. How a facilitator.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. So you'll understand it in proper synchrony. Even if I forget to show it, you should see that it's very easily available on YouTube. Or else even normally also it will be available on a PPT. I'm not sure. So it shows you, how you need to be like a coffee bean.
Yes,
Because what your characteristics will be very different than what it is supposed to be many a times. Like for example, they have shown that the egg before boiling, it's in, once the shell is broken, it's all liquid. The moment you boil it, it becomes hard. So can you afford to be hard as a trainer or as a facilitator? That means you're conditioning yourself unnecessarily, or you're creating a bias. The second was the carrot is hard. The moment you boil it, it becomes soft. So can you be hard and soft at the same time with the same person with whom the issue is there? Like for example, I am having an issue with you, Padma Priya. So I've been tough with you. I've been seeing that I'm not very fair with you. But gradually, after some training and all, there's a lot of development, and Padma Priya, you really improved. Can I be really soft? One area. Or the third one was a beautiful, whoever has created the storyline, it's amazing. They say that put the coffee bean or the coffee powder in hot water I mean, you can always add milk and sugar and all those things and enjoy your coffee, remain cool, remain sober, and do not be too harsh or too, tough or too soft or something like that. Flex as per the requirement. So be like the coffee bean. That's basically the whole idea. So storyline should have some sort of a purpose, some sort of a moral, some sort of an understanding, some sort of a development for you to go on to the next level. So maybe you can create your own story. Maybe there will be some story related to your workplace, Padma Priya, which you could put it into place. You could relate it with an incident. You could relate it with a scenario. You could relate it with some sort of a training session. Maybe you can give it. Maybe you can assign it with some sort of a competency, and create an hypothetical date or maybe a situation or a training session, and let the flow go through. Is that fine, Padma Priya?
Yes, sir. We need to combine the story and the effective facilitators qualities. We need to combine both. Okay.
Yes, yes. Sure.
Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome, welcome. God bless.
So can I just add
Yes,
something?
Mayuri, please,
Sorry.
please.
Yeah.
Please.
So
No,
the
sorry,
question,
please go ahead.
no, so the question is about building a story. I think the question is more about what skills.
Mayuri, your voice is not clear.
That's what even I was wondering whether my internet. I mean, Mayuri, we can't hear you clearly. A bit louder.
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, Mayuri, please.
Just trying to connect.
I think she looks like she has a network problem.
Is it better now, sir?
Much better.
Yeah. No, I said I'll just connect the earphone and then probably speak. That's better. So my question here was just to add to what Padma Priya said. So the first part of the question was the various skills and attributes of an effective facilitator, which is very clear.
Correct.
The second is that using the storytelling technique, point out what are some of the qualities that come out through that. So is it essential to create a story? Because we all have a word limit of 800 words to write the entire answer. So what is important probably is to just put a small scenario out there and then bring out the qualities that the
Stories
facilitator
could be
might.
small also. Yes.
Because if we start writing a story, creating it, then probably
not
we will
a
not
detailed
get
story.
the word
Maybe,
limit. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
And then bring out what you do, because now, I mean, I'm not able to relate that person, but I'll try to locate him on YouTube and possibly insert that video in the last session. There is a gentleman who actually does a lot of storytelling with different concepts and different destinations also. Some part of Rajasthan or some part of Gujarat he comes from. I'm not able to get it. Sometimes I get it on WhatsApp also. So I'll be able to show that to you. I'll find it out and definitely give that insert in the last session. You'll be able to see how naturally he does it, and it's so convincing, it's so interesting, and you're able to, bring out a lot of meaning either to that place or the concept which is discussing. He takes sometimes politics, he takes sometimes destinations, he takes sometimes concepts, and people are very glad. Of course, the people around him might be, people of his choice or his biradri or his community. That's okay. But then a lot of mileage, a lot of likes he's been getting. So I found that storytelling has been a very popular trend. Even NHRDN did an event with storytelling where the business leaders, business HR leaders did a conceptual, storytelling. Somehow narrated some stories of the Tata Sons, somehow narrated some stories related to Adani and Ambani and all those things, where maybe, like Mayuri rightly said, it did not be very vast, but to a certain extent, maybe you could create it into form of a small, crisp, maybe a sort of an executive summary with the four broad pointers of storytelling, and then come to a conclusion, maybe give a moral or something like that. Hai. So with that, friends, enjoy your virtual break or your actual break. Yes.
Sorry, sir. Are you referring to Jiva Raghunath or maybe Vicky Ahuja? Because those are two who are doing extensive storytelling in Udaipur tales.
Maybe one of those two. I'll be able to. I don't remember their names at the moment, but very naturally they do it in a very normal place. They would do it on a seashore, maybe somewhere, maybe in a valley, maybe on a hillside, maybe in the house, maybe in the compound, maybe in a garden, something like that. And it's really good. So what we'll do is I'll try to find out, and definitely I'll get that. So if it's available, I'll definitely put it as an insert, and we'll love to see that as part of the storytelling. And we'll thank Padma Priya for her, initiation of this concept. So lovely. I mean, storytelling is a great area. Okay. So wish you all the best. Have a wonderful break, and then we join again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.